subscribers. We're really happy about that. Those of you who've been following along, we did change today's topic. So if you happen to be drinking a Bordeaux, it's not dramatic. Okay. It's also pretty good. We understand. But today we switched it to Chardonnay. And we've got an exciting reason why. We've got a really cool guest to join us next week on Wine Wednesday to really dig into Bordeaux. So we're live on both platforms. Let's kick it off. So welcome back to Wine Wednesday. How's it going, Dave? You got a glass of wine?
It's going well. I have a glass of wine. I'm glad it's the end of the day on Wednesday, hump day.
Yeah.
It's all downhill from here, which is good. How are you doing?
That sounds negative when you say it's all downhill from here. Like
No, I just mean like it's been a week. So like, it's smooth sailing to the weekend.
Okay. I see
Especially with a glass of wine.
Well, cheers. I've got my Chardonnay.
Me too.
Okay, so who are we? Anyone who doesn't know us, shame on you. I'm Jana Kryline, certified wine geek and co-founder of dVIN Labs, joined by David Garrett, my fellow co-founder of dVIN Labs. All right, so anyone who doesn't know what dVIN is, we are building the infrastructure to tokenize and trade fine wine as an investable asset class. So we are in the process of, we've got a lot of building going on behind the scenes, but we are launching a global order book for wine. That is pretty exciting. We're talking about an asset class that is pretty much completely dormant, a $1 trillion asset class. That is the wine asset class, which is massive. I just like saying the T word. I get excited.
It's a big word. It's a big word. And it's funny. I've spent a bunch of time this week this week is a research week for me. So as you've been noticing, because in the group chats, in the dVIN Labs group chats, you're getting a lot of long research papers.
Yeah.
So apologies for all the fun weekend reading you've got in front of you. But I've spent a lot of time like doing a really deep dive into all the various different pieces of the business, because the wine industry is so big. And like, the half of it, right? Or like a giant piece of it is just table wine, right? It's wine that averages like $1 a liter. So it's like relatively inexpensive. You're talking about table wine, you're talking about $2 chuck, wine in jugs, or wine in boxed wine. Hey, there's some really good boxed wine.
I know that, Dave.
Wine in kegs.
I do work in the industry,
Yeah. But anyways, like the vast majority is really, it's wine that's like made and packaged and shipped and consumed, right? Like all very quickly, one after the other.
Oh yeah.
And that's $350 billion a year, right? Like that's what most people in Europe, for example, like when they go out for a long lunch in Barcelona, at the beach with paella, and they're drinking, a table wine, or maybe they're having some sangria. Like that's most of the, like in terms of volume, that's most of the wine in the world.
Okay,
and that's also, like $350 billion a year.
I understand. I'm not gonna let you do the thing where you just like give us all the stats all at once.
Okay.
I'm going to cut you off a couple times.
Good.
And I just want to, it's not for anything other than to just say it's not just the Europeans in Barcelona drinking sangria. It's also the students slapping the bag. So you know who you are. Carry on. That's all.
Bota bag. I had a Bota bag. That's old school.
It's like, I don't know. I have never actually done it, but so many people have told me that in university they used to slap the bag. It's a thing where you take apparently a bag of wine out of a box, and you slap it until it, I don't know, apparently it breaks, and then you got to drink it or something.
We had Bota bags, which were like kind of the old wineskins that have the university logo on it. So when I was in college, but anyway,
my university didn't.
So that's like the big piece of it, and we're not talking about any of that. Like what we're talking about is wine that would be considered fine wine, right? Which is probably upwards of $20 a bottle.
Yeah.
And you know, it's usually made. Not typically. It's made and consumed like 2 to 20 years apart, right? Like it's 2 to 20 years. It's consumed after a few years. Usually, it's aged in oak or aged in a amphora or aged in cement, even,
Mhm.
and then aged in the bottle for a little while. And like that's really the kind of wine that we're talking about. And that's you know that's a small amount of turnover. So that's only about 150 billion dollars a year in turnover, so much smaller than the table wine.
But
But
that's fine wine,
because
right?
yeah,
That's
that's
not
fine wine.
messy big
But
wine.
because you're holding it for so long, like 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 years, there's so much of it in wineries or in warehouses or at distributors or at importers or even at your local wine shop or your local restaurant. Like a lot of times the wine that you order at the restaurant, if you order something, easy drinking and fruity, you might get something that was made in the last year. But if you're ordering something off, further down the menu,
Mhm.
or further down the wine list, the restaurant might have had it in their basement for 3 months, or I'm sorry, for
Hold
3 years,
I
five
think
years.
that sounds like trapped capital, Dave.
Trapped capital. That's what I like to say. Trapped capital. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
It
Sorry,
is
again, I
money.
didn't mean to cut you
I
off, but
know.
we haven't even, we have a flow to these things, right? We do
There's a
our
rhythm.
intros, we talk about what we're drinking. You're diving
Oh
down
yeah.
the rabbit
I
hole
haven't
with
even done an intro yet. I'm
no.
Dave.
Who the heck are you? No.
I'm Dave Garrett, co-founder of dVIN Labs, um, background in tech, but I've been in wine for the last 20 years, and also do a bunch of other stuff in wine. But we can talk about that another time. We should do that on an AMA.
We should
We
do
need
that.
we need like a full AMA to answer
Mhm.
those kinds of questions.
Dave did an AMA last week, and I missed
I
it because
did.
I was in Dubai for Token 2049, and it was, oh my God, it was so hot. It was like 42 degrees. But Dave, you did an
I
AMA.
thought you were saying that my AMA was hot.
Your
Did
AMA
you
was
watch the? It
hot.
was on fire.
Was it good?
It was pretty good. We got a lot of really, really interesting questions. I talked too long as usual, but
Because I wasn't there
we
to
answered a
be
lot of
like,
questions. I know you weren't there to interrupt me, but it was good. It was really good.
okay, awesome. We're gonna do another one next week, right? Every second week we're doing AMAs.
Nice.
So yeah. So have a look at our
Have
Loom
so if
calendar
you've got questions for the AMAs, you should submit them in advance. You can put it right here in Twitter, like where you're watching us. Just reply in Twitter and say for the AMA, or just say AMA colon, and then just ask the question, and we'll scoop them all up and have them ready for the AMA
Hey,
next week.
don't tell people how to punctuate. We're talking to DGens on crypto Twitter. They don't
Sorry,
know
no
what that is.
punctuation.
Did you just suggest punctuation on crypto Twitter? My God, Dave.
Probably too much.
You can also leave your comments on YouTube if you're watching there, or you can just. Most of you guys have a direct line to Dave and I. Let's be real. You know, we've been around. We've been around for a minute, so we do know a lot of you.
Slip into the
Um,
DMs. Slide into the
Slide into
DMs.
the DMs.
I can't. I never really know exactly what you're supposed to say.
You know what? There's
Okay. Hey, Jana.
yeah.
What are you drinking?
Oh, right. So I've got it beautifully wrapped right now in this gorgeous little ice pack because it wasn't cold enough. So I'm bringing out the big guns, and I'm gonna get in trouble with my husband because it's way too young to open this. But I was going through my wine fridge, and again, we moved these around a little, and I buy my wine in advance for these guys. So this one, I took it for the team. I opened this way too early. It's gorgeous. I'm drinking a Chassagne Montrachet. It's 2022, so we're white Burgundy. I will tell you, so a little bit of background on me. I was kind of like I really hate the word. Anyone who knows me will know that I hate the word influencer, but I was kind of like a wine influencer. I guess I kind of still am. I just really
You
hate the word.
influence me all the time.
I don't like it. Well, I try to. I don't know. Anyway, um, I
I,
felt like
I,
you were
I'm
about
drinking a Chardonnay today, so clearly you're having some influence.
yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, before I was going off on my ramble, but I used to always say on my Instagram account, not a wine snob. And that was like kind of my whole thing. And I am not a wine snob, I swear, but I have recently fallen so deeply in love with white Burgundy, and you can't say that to someone without sounding like a wine snob. So I'm drinking a white Burgundy today, and I promise you I'm not a wine snob. It's just worth it. So yeah, today's Chardonnay day. That's
I'm not a wine snob either.
You are though.
Maybe.
Remember when we went to that
Yeah.
wine bar in
No,
France
you're
and you
right.
were
No,
like,
you're right. Sorry. No, you're
"What are
right.
we
I am.
drinking?" And I was like, "Gamay." And you were like, "Yeah."
Yeah. I'm a little bit of a snob, and I'm a little snobby today. So today I'm drinking. I I figured if I have to drink Chardonnay, I might as well drink something interesting.
Ugh.
So I'm drinking a Domaine Grande Cuvée de Tradition 2016. Um, this is from Jura. So it's from a little tiny region between Burgundy and Switzerland. Not super well known. That sounds so douchey when I say that. Not super well known,
Don't
but
say
like
douchey.
really, really great wines. Are you gonna bleep me?
You
You're
sound
gonna
like
bleep me.
you sound like Bacchus.
Anyways. Yeah, so love Jura. And kind of anytime I have a good excuse to open a bottle from Jura, I do. We have it's 5:15 right now in Barcelona, and we have a beautiful piece of salmon that I'm going to grill later tonight. So I decided that I would open this and share it with my wife because I'm not going to drink the whole bottle during Wine Wednesday,
No,
unlike some people.
of course I'm not. Do you know what? I have a gym class booked tonight, so it's gonna be an inspired strength class. Oh, anyway,
Awesome.
I will put the cork in this in a little, but yeah, people, whatever. Wow,
Anyway,
I
I'm gonna put this wine in the notes because it is kind of or in the
oh,
chat
good
in
idea.
X because it's pretty cool. This is a cool wine. I'll see if I can find some. Actually, I'm gonna put the name of the wine in the chat, and if you want to ask Bacchus
Yeah,
about this wine, I think Bacchus will give you some pretty cool information about this wine.
I'll put what I'm
Actually, maybe I'll
drinking.
just ask Bacchus now.
I also asked Bacchus. Hang on a second. I'm gonna put what I'm drinking in there too. Ooh. All right, guys. Anyway, sorry. I feel like this is not interesting for you right now, but it's happening. Give me a second. There we go. I'm posting it as dVIN Labs. That's what I'm drinking. Okay, we're back. Okay, so Dave's drinking a Jura. Jura, because we usually, for these Wine Wednesdays, if you're new here, we usually spend about like 15 to 20 minutes talking about wine because it is Wine Wednesday and we are a wine project. Um, Jura is a really, really cool region. Like, I went there when I was graduating from my diploma program. So I was like fresh, like I had just studied everything for Wines of the World. Everything was really fresh in my brain. And I went to Jura and it was just like, I'll never forget it because I had just written my last exams and it was just the most amazing trip. We tasted so many great wines. It's If you haven't had Vin Jaune, ask Bacchus about Vin Jaune and like, oh, it's just you gotta go. You gotta go to Jura. Um, okay, so I don't know if we want to.
Jana, what I would say, like
Yeah.
the main thing that I'm going to say is
Oh no,
when you talk like that, all I can think is
wine
you're
snob.
a wine freak.
Ugh, wine free. Okay, I'll take
You're
that.
a wine freak.
Jura wine free. Oh my god, we need a T-shirt line. And I know that you've said that before, and it's probably annoying for you that 4 years later I'm like, hey, we should do this thing. Okay, I'm not gonna dig my grave. So Chardonnay, shapeshifter of the wine world. Dave said something earlier that annoyed me. Probably more than one thing, but in this specific case, he said something that reminded me of the whole ABC movement. Do you know what I'm talking about, Dave?
All cops are bad.
No, I thought you were gonna say always be closing.
Oh no, that's ACB. ABC is all
No,
always be closing.
but it's also
Yeah.
anything but Chardonnay, and that was like a whole
Uh,
movement, which reminds me a lot of like the whole Sideways story, but that's another thing.
that
Um,
was Merlot.
I know. So, but Chardonnay had this rep, and people still tell me all the time, I don't like Chardonnay. And it is a very frustrating thing to hear as a wine professional. Rodolfo and I talked about this on a Wine Wednesday a couple of weeks ago. Chardonnay is the shapeshifter of the wine world. It is the most versatile grape. You can do so much with it. I mean, if you think about champagne, for example, it's the main white grape in champagne. But like, if you, I mean, look, most widely planted white wine grape in the world for a reason. Okay. So we're not just talking about the white Burgundy that I'm drinking, or we're not talking about champagne. We're not always being a wine snob. But like you can get razor sharp mineral Chablis or like toasty, buttery, kind of more Napa style, and anything in between. So do not ever say that you don't like Chardonnay until you can really say that you have tried the full range, because I don't believe you and you are doing yourself a discredit. And it's embarrassing. Okay? Don't say that. Thanks.
Okay.
That was my sass for the day. I feel like people are getting enough sass from Bacchus, so I should probably tone it down. We'll get to that. Anything that you want to talk about with Chardonnay, Dave? Any fun facts? Anything else, or do you want to move into your long form article that you just published?
Hey, look, this is your show. I'm just a passenger on this train. So you tell me what you want to do.
This train is going all over the tracks. Like it's yeah. Okay. Well, would you say that you're like team Chablis? Are you on like the steely razor sharp side, or are you more like Carneros?
I mean, probably more Chablis,
Yeah.
but honestly, like I just go around the other way, right? Like this way, like if you go this way, you're going from like Dijon down through the down through Burgundy to
Mhm.
Chablis. I would like say start at Jura and just kind of go around the other way to
You're
hit
going
Chablis.
up from Dijon to Chablis.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, I got
What's
my.
your wine map?
Should I get my map?
Ah. Okay, Dave's gonna get his wine map. In the meantime, I feel like you get out your wine map, but like, what do you think about Chardonnay from an investment perspective?
From a what? Well, it's a great investment one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, all right. So wait. So where's Chablis?
Way up at the top of Burgundy. It's like not even, yeah, it's
There's
like,
Dijon. There's Chablis,
yeah, Chablis is not
and then way over here, like here is Jura,
Jura.
like
Yeah.
here. So like I wouldn't even make it to Carneros.
Would you start in Champagne though? Wouldn't you want to start in, well, no,
Yeah,
'cause
I'd
you're
start in
going,
Champagne, go to Jura, then go to Chablis, and then call it a day
it's a good day.
for white wine.
Okay. All right. So not the Carneros. I'm actually a little bit surprised because, of all your time spent in California and
Yeah, I
you,
know, but this is I
yeah.
don't know. This is
Okay.
so good. This
No,
is so
no
good.
one
Anyway,
made you
come
wrong.
on. People don't want to watch us drink wine.
I
Maybe they do.
I think we're wildly entertaining, but that's fine. Okay. So let's talk about the authentication crisis, because, and this is where, if you're here to watch us about wine, stick around because this is where it gets really cool. And we're talking about, this is all about what dVIN is doing, guys. We're solving all kinds of long-standing, like unresolved industry issues. One of them is the authentication crisis in wine. So we're talking about like, is your wine bottle actually real? Dave put out a really interesting long form article. He puts out long form articles every Sunday on Medium. So news.dvinlabs.com. Okay. So this is something that affects every collector, every sommelier, every investor in wine. And whether you realize it or not, authenticity is a massive problem. How big of a problem is it, Dave? What's the number? It's a
They
B,
think there's about $70 billion worth of fake wine out there.
which is what, like 20%, they think.
I mean, that's if we think it's $1 trillion asset class, that's maybe 7%. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Ooh. You
Still,
know
it's a
what?
big number. It's
Yeah.
a big number.
Yeah.
Maybe it's closer to 20%
It depends, fine wine or investment grade.
yeah, kind of fine wine, maybe. I
White
don't know.
wine.
It's an enormous amount of wine.
Yeah.
And we should talk about why that is. Like,
Well, it distorts market pricing and like
Yeah.
if
No,
we're
not why it's a problem, but why do people counterfeit wine, right? So like I would put it into two categories. So the first category is what everybody hears about. That's the news. That's what's on the news, right? Like there was the guy Randy Curtawan or Rudy Curtawan
Rudy,
in Los Angeles, guy from the Philippines. They say that he went to prison actually, and he
he's out.
no, he made 35 million. He sold $35 million worth of counterfeit wine. Like he was collecting bottles and labels, and he would like make the labels at home and like age them in a weird way. He would like he had a whole thing in his kitchen where he was like printing out labels and sticking them to bottles and like mixing up the Kool-Aid in his kitchen sink and filling the bottles with that. It was insane. It's an insane story, and if you haven't seen the movie Sour Grapes, you should see it. It's really fun. It's a fun, fast, cool film, and it tells all about that.
Okay, hang on. I feel like I'm gonna use my hand signals to
Mm,
like let you know when I have
mm.
something to say.
It's a good. It's
Otherwise
good.
our audio gets really messed up. So
It's a nice
apparently,
method.
thank you. I talk with my hands. Apparently he's doing like dinner parties now. Somebody was
Yeah,
telling me that he will come to your house and actually like blind test you and like show, hey, this is the counterfeit version of this. This is the real thing. Like he's a party trick now.
yeah.
It's hilarious.
But for billionaires, like they pay him a lot of money to do that.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's out of jail. He's doing dinner parties. This
But
is
he doesn't come to the States because he's been deported because he served
hmm,
10 years in prison, I think, something like that. Something
fair.
crazy.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on. I'm sorry. I had to get the party trick thing in.
Anyway, I mean, obviously, if like that guy can do it, lots of people do it, right? Lots of people probably, if you drink great wine, if you drink nice wine, at some point you've probably had a fake bottle. Probably at some point. It would be statistically, it's not unlikely, right? You probably bought one. If you bought wine at auction, or a lot of restaurants buy at auction, a lot of wine shops buy at auction. So if you've bought like a expensive old bottle of wine, it's a not there's a non-zero plus probability that bottle was fake. So like that's a problem, and it's a problem for everybody, right? Like because it sort of sucks to get a fake bottle of wine if it's not real. And it kind of sucks for the winemaker, right? Because if you open a fake bottle of 1982 Cheval Blanc and you're like, I would have thought this would be better. Maybe it's because it should have been better, or if it was a
Yeah.
real bottle, it would be better. So
Or when
it's
people
bad
tell
for
you,
branding. It's bad for stuff. Yeah.
or when people tell you, yeah, I had this like especially people who have had a wine like that for the first time, and then the first thing they tell you is like, yeah, it really didn't impress me. I don't think I'd ever be able to tell the difference between that and like
Yeah.
stuff I get at the supermarket. And I'm like, hmm, okay, no comment. But yeah, you can tell the difference, guys.
You can normally tell. Yeah. So like that's a big problem. But that kind of sounds like a high class problem, and it is. That's one of those problems for billionaires or for millionaires, and like no one's gonna not a ton of tears shed for people that buy $1,000 bottles of wine that end up being fake. But that's really just the that's the kind of tip of the iceberg. Where it's really a problem is Penfolds, for example. There's a powerful story about Penfolds that after there was kind of an embargo or a big tariff, but in China for all Australian wines, and at some point they did a study and they thought that there was more fake Penfolds in China than there was real Penfolds in the world.
Yep.
Um, and it's because it was pretty easy, right? Like there weren't, in China at the time, there weren't a lot of strict IP regulations. It was pretty easy to make a bottle, to fake the label, and the bottles are all the same size, and the labels are all the same size, and you can pick up the label at a grocery store, so you can make an exact copy of it, make an exact copy of the bottle, and then you put substandard wine in that bottle, and nobody knows until they take it home and they open it.
Mhm.
And that could be months or years after it's purchased. And maybe they don't know, or they don't even remember where they bought it, and they're just not sure how to claim, or maybe they're like, oh well, maybe it's just a bad bottle. So and in China especially, like, because the wine culture was pretty new, like maybe it was your first bottle ever of like bin 707, and like, so you don't know what a bin 707 is supposed to taste like. And
Yeah.
so that issue caused enormous problems for Penfolds, because Penfolds was, a pretty expensive wine. It's 40, $50 a bottle, sometimes, 80, 100, $150 a bottle. So, you know, um, uh, uh, counterfeiting it was pretty cheap, right? You can counterfeit it for $1. And these guys, there were these criminal gangs that would counterfeit it and sell it, and they made you know hundreds of millions of dollars doing that in China. So there's a really big incentive, and there's not a lot you can do about it, or at least there used to be not very much you could do about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like there needs to be some kind of protocol, that would like
Right.
fix that problem.
Well, but let's talk about how people have been trying to solve it,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
So there are lots of ways, right? Like, people do fun things, like they put QR codes on the bottle that you can scan and be like, "Oh, is this bottle correct or not?" But like, you can make a copy of a QR code, right? You can fake the QR
yeah.
code, or you can like figure out what the QR code goes to and either spoof it and send, like, make a copy of it and send it to the same place,
Yeah.
or you can like look at the web page that the QR code goes to and make a copy of that. Um, so like, that's pretty easy to to um, to foil. Then people use, there's this thing called proof tags, which are really interesting. That's like on bottle security. Petrus is using this really cool like hologram
Yeah.
thing. And then there's, the project that we just did with the Bhutan Wine Company. They used a brand new project, or a brand new security measure called dust identity, which uses crushed industrial diamonds in a glue that goes on the bottle, and that creates a unique signature on that bottle, which again, super cool.
Yeah. So are those Bhutan? They just had their big auction, right?
Yeah, the auction just went. We should put the link in the notes, but like, sold for big money.
Yeah.
Those bottles did really well. Yeah, it was a great auction at Bonham's.
Very cool. Okay. We have done a couple segments on that. So if you're curious about what we're talking about with Bhutan, have a look back through our YouTube videos. There's lots of great content about that out there. But back to how people are trying to authenticate, or I suppose protect their bottles as winemakers. We were Dave and I were in a very, very impressive wine cellar. We spent a lot of time in a very impressive wine cellar in France. One of the biggest, or the biggest private collection of wine in the world. And we were looking, was it the Lafitte collection
Oh, the
where
Petrus
no, 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 it wasn't the
with
Petrus.
the holograms.
No, no, when where
Oh,
we were talking about like, okay, you have to know that this vintage, this label, the machine was like a little off center or something, or there's like a little bit of glue missing from the
right.
top right corner on this vintage. And this is where the pros come in, like Maureen Downey, who's a expert. If you've seen Sour Grapes Again, she's like kind of the authority in that movie. Um, where they know like little nuances about each bottle, and so they'll know to go in, and this is really like an old school crazy system of doing this, to be like, okay, I know that in 2019 I need to look for like a little bit of a loose corner on the right side of the label. Like, that is insane. So but
Yeah.
yeah, it's, there's really got to be a smarter way, and so we
The,
are.
well, and then the thing is like, if you even look at, so the old way, yeah, is you need to know that there's a loose corner, right? Or that like they printed the thing upside down or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, uh, nowadays they've got this on bottle tech, and sometimes that's a proof tag, and sometimes that's a QR code, and sometimes it's a with Petrus they do these really great holograms, and sometimes it's diamond dust, right? But here's the thing: is if you're a counterfeiter, you can also put diamond dust on, or you can put a hologram, or
Yeah.
you can put a proof tag, or you can put a QR code, and you can make that do whatever you want it to do, right? Like you can send that to wherever you like, whatever, link it to whatever webpage you want. And so it's pretty easy to still keep it somewhat, um, to make it
A good fake.
easy for counterfeiters to fake it.
Yeah.
What you need, or what we think, and we've spent a lot of time thinking about this the last 3 years, is kind of like what you have for your bank account or your email or anything where you've got like a username and password. Sometimes you need two-factor authentication, right? And that two-factor authentication means, all right, I know it, you know it, and a third party knows it. And if all of us agree, we can agree that that's true, right? That's kind of how, well, they call it 2FA, right? Two-factor authentication, right? It's well, I say third party because it's you and the thing and the 2FA, right? So that two-factor authentication is really important. And right now in wine, there is no two-factor. There's one factor, right?
Mhm.
I look at it, if it if it if it looks right, or if it looks like what I think Petrus has put on the bottle, then I'm going to say, okay, that's Petrus.
Yeah.
What you want to do is have a way for there to be a unique code on that bottle that you can only find on the blockchain, right? That's something the blockchain is really good at, right? The blockchain is an immutable database. So if you say, okay, there's a, you know, usually what you do for a code like this is you'd use like a 14-digit code. So if you look at that's kind of like standard. It would take, I don't know, 120 years to guess a 14-digit code, even with the fastest computers out there. So like if you look at the bottle and there's a 14-digit code, and then you look on the blockchain and that code is the same, you can say, all right, that's an authentic bottle. And like that's sort of the key, because the counterfeiters won't be able to guess which 14-digit codes are on which bottles.
Right.
But on the blockchain, if they do it at the winery, they put those things together, and then the bottle makes its way to you,
Mhm.
and at the winery it goes to the blockchain, and now you can look at both things, and now you've got two-factor authentication. And that works whether it's a QR code or a serial number. Well, serial number is a little bit harder, but certainly a QR code or a um, or uh, uh, the diamond dust, or a proof tag, or a or some kind of a 3D hologram. Like in any of those cases, you can create that two-factor authentication. And because what we're doing with dVIN protocol, or with dVIN protocol, is to create a universal protocol. There's, no matter what wine you have, whether it's a Lafite or a Petrus or a DRC or a 100 acre or two buck chuck, although probably not a lot of security in two buck chuck. But no matter what wine you have, there's one place where you can go look at it, and so it's super easy. One thing, one app, one whatever on your phone, and now you know that that's real.
The industry standard. So provenance equals pricing power. Do you want to talk about that?
You say that one more time. Why don't you set
Provenance.
me up?
I mean, okay, well, you talk about this in the article. You talk about provenance equals
Oh,
pricing.
sure, sure, sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's the what's the real value of traceability? Not just for
So
authenticity, but for trading and investing.
so look, everything is everything. There's a um anytime you're buying anything on the secondary market, there is a discount that's being applied, right? And that discount can be, if you're buying a car. right? Let's say you're buying a car on the secondary market. If that car has 10,000 miles on it, then you apply some discount. If it has 50,000 miles on it, then you apply a different discount, right?
Mhm.
Um, if a car, for example, has been in an accident, you're going to apply it, even if the car runs fine today, but it's been in an accident, there's some risk there, right? So you're going to apply a bigger discount to the car because maybe it could, like, maybe that accident has caused a problem that I just haven't seen yet, right? So there could be any number of issues. So there's always a discount that's applied anytime you're buying something on the secondary market, even if that thing has gone up in value. You're still applying a discount to perfection. What two-factor authentication does, and what perfect provenance does, and what perfect chain of custody does, is it eliminates that discount. It means that the more sure you are that that bottle has been perfectly stored, perfectly, that you know that it's the same bottle, because the authentication is perfect. You know that it's been stored in the in a the right stored and transported in the right temperature and humidity conditions.
Yeah.
Then the more you'll pay for that bottle, the less of a discount that it will that you'll apply to the price of that bottle. So I mean, the classic example that I'm now hearing kind of from everyone all over, like, I sometimes run into people, and when I'm talking to them on the street about this problem, what they say is a bottle that's stored at Bordeaux City Bond for 20 years is going to go for more than a bottle that's in the trunk of Jana's car at a Walmart on a 100-degree day for an afternoon, right?
Everyone's
Like,
talking
you're
about
going
it.
to pay more for the bottle that was at Bordeaux City Bond than at the bottle that's been cooking in the back of Jana's car at the Walmart parking lot.
Yeah. You
And
know
and
what?
I hear that all the time. I mean, I
Everyone,
feel like that's the standard now for discounting investment grade wine.
this the standard, what Dave is running into people on the street and talking about is the actually just the wine that's in the backseat of my car baking. But yeah. So it's okay. I don't think there's any Walmarts in Germany that I'm aware of. So I think it's time that you retire that. Dave
Mhm.
says this on every webinar that we do. So anyways. Okay.
We should have a drinking game.
I know, actually, we should. Okay, so this is one of the things that excites me the most is the fact that in the future, when inevitably this is the future, when all wine, especially all fine wine, investment grade wine, cult wine, kind of everything in that segment, when all of that wine is on chain, and you're actually going to be able to look and see, like, there's going to be real price transparency. You're going to actually be able to really know what you're getting. This is I know that that sounds kind of simple if you're not someone with a wine background. That is insane. This is this is dreamy stuff for wine people, right? Like, that just doesn't exist. There's no data in wine. People don't know anything about what they're buying. It's like everyone's blind. The winemakers are blind. They don't have any they have no visibility. The wine leaves the winery and goes through like 5 layers of the supply chain, and then, you know. So this is seriously really exciting big stuff. And that's literally, we've touched like very very quickly and briefly on global liquidity for wine and price transparency and these kind of things. We're diving into all of it. Dave is putting out these amazing long form articles on Medium. So be sure to check those out. We've also got a podcast that comes out usually every Saturday, Friday or Saturday. So be sure to check that out as well. We got lots of really good content that we're coming out with weekly. So be sure to check that out. Is there anything else you want to say about that, Dave? Because we are getting closer to time, and there's a couple things that we've got to touch on.
No, 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 I'm good. I think,
Okay.
I think we got it, yeah.
Okay, cool. So before I wrap, I want to talk about our favorite pocket sommelier and market analyst, Bacchus. Anyone who's been interacting with Bacchus, he's kind of like the Bloomberg terminal for wine on X. He's swearing a lot right now. So it's a thing. It's it's very funny. It's also, we understand, we're putting the guardrails on Bacchus, okay? Bacchus is
Are we
the
are we putting guardrails on?
I know Dave and I see this a little bit differently. I think Dave always just gets a real kick out of it, and I'm like, oh
No,
my
I just mean, are you going to be able to? Because Bacchus is like out of the box, you know?
he's been
I don't
unleashed.
know. Like,
Oh my god. Mm. I'm gonna drink to that, but no, look, the whole thing with Bacchus is like I go on his X account and I'm like, oh, okay, what am I gonna have to delete today? You know, like how mean is he being? And he's really, it's really funny. The content is amazing. Go on there, you'll get a kick out of it. Just don't be afraid of him. Bacchus has tons of potential, though. We joke about him swearing. Just look beyond that and check out the episode. We're going to be putting it out as a podcast on Saturday, but we did do it live yesterday. We did a great kind of, I think it was a little under an hour. We did a live stream and we really dug deep into Bacchus and the future of what he's going to be able to do. We talked about the reason why we built the AI in the first place, which interestingly enough it was never the idea to build the Bloomberg terminal for wine necessarily. We actually started out the origin story of Bacchus, our AI tool, is we needed we needed a way to automate the digital cork process because, we're going to be tokenizing thousands of bottles daily. And we needed a way to be able to get that data, sort it, clean it up, and make sure that it's accurate, obviously, first of all, but build all these digital corks for every single unique bottle of wine that we're putting on chain. And that's really difficult with wine for a number of reasons. But one, if you just think about Lafite, for example, and you might see it somewhere on a wine list and it says Lafite 2016, but then somewhere else it might say like Chateau Lafite 750 milliliters, like Bordeaux, da da da, and then you might see the second wine from Lafite and think that's the same thing. Wine is very, very, it always comes up as a sort of a different title and it's very difficult to sort through. So we have a team of sommeliers that are incredible. They've been helping Adnan, our AI data engineer, for over a year to kind of get this all right. We've been training this model for I'd say over a year now. Anyway, tons of proprietary data. We built it for that reason, to automate digital corks. And then we started to think, you know what? This has so much more potential. So at the moment, Bacchus is live. He's obviously, as we said, been unleashed on X. On X, he really is kind of he's giving you real time market insights. He's comparing investment grade wines to things like Ethereum, for example. He's drawing really interesting comparisons for crypto Twitter that are a little bit more specific to obviously investment grade wine and ideas for how you might want to trade investment grade wine in the future, how you can make smarter decisions and use this as a tool. But it's really interesting because for crypto Twitter, he's sassy. Of course, we want to be grabbing people's attention. So that's one thing that's really important. But it's crypto Twitter. So he's comparing it to a lot of different kinds of crypto and meme tokens and things like that. So that's Bacchus on X. We've also got Bacchus, or I would say Wine Guy, live on Telegram. This is your one-on-one personal, basically pocket sommelier. So if you want to go on Telegram, he's public, free to use, super, super cool. If you haven't already tested him out, I think we've got like 40,000 active monthly users or more now using Bacchus, the Wine Guy tool. Very cool. He's able to he can tell you anything about wine pairing and like food pairing and wine suggestions. That's like a walk in the park. But we're in beta right now testing a few cool things. And I know, Dave, I've been rambling for a minute, but we have a little test group right now that are into the beta. They're testing wine lists. So you're able to actually, or you will be able to soon in beta right now still. You'll be able to take a photo of a wine list when you go into a restaurant, feed that to Bacchus, and he will tell you, this is the best value on the wine list, or I think you should be drinking this, or I mean, what are some good examples, Dave, of why you might want to give him a wine list in a restaurant?
so what I always look for are three things, right? Like the first thing is best value, right? I want to know, am I getting ripped off? Like,
Yeah,
what, because every once in a while, and I would say knowing somms that build wine lists,
yeah,
there's always like two things that they put on there. Because, a somm sort of wants to identify who's cool, right? And so like
Gem.
they'll always put something on that's like way on, like that isn't marked up as much as everything else,
Yep.
just to see kind of, all right, like does this person know what they're talking about? And then the other thing is they'll put something on there that's super rare.
Hmm.
And I'm not very good at the pricing bit. I'm I don't have that in my head, but I have rare in my head, right? Like I know what's rare. And so when there's something on the wine list that like you don't ever see on wine lists, or is like a crazy vintage or super interesting, that's one of those things where you order it, and you know that feeling you have when you're at a great restaurant and you order a bottle of wine and they that like all of a sudden the sommelier and the waiter, like their whole thing changes, and like they bring you different glasses, and like
Yes.
they start talking to you about wine, and like they, oh, these are my people,
Yeah.
right? So like Bacchus is really good at finding the rarest wine on the list. And then it also will provide like the highest rated, so like which wine is going to be the most impressive. So like
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that it does.
You can be like, hey, I'm in a restaurant with a whole bunch of my, I don't know, let's say you're at a work thing and you're there with your boss or something and you really want to impress your boss, or you're on a first date or whatever. And like you can tell it, obviously you can tell them that. And it'll be like, hey, I really want to impress this person, and get like, maybe it's the best critic scored, or the most obvious good wine, whatever, or you can be really geeky about it. And it's just really cool. Um, I mean, I think it's a good thing that I'm involved in dVIN Labs, because otherwise, my SOM education, geez, I would be out of job, man. Anyway, just kidding. Okay, but then the other thing that is in beta right now that's really cool is you can give Bacchus your wine portfolio. And eventually what you're going to be able to do with that is, so down the road, again, you really gotta listen to the episode from yesterday, because we had the engineers on and we were, really dug into it. But eventually you're going to actually be able to have your portfolio managed by Bacchus. So we're talking about, in the future, autonomous trading. You'll be able to give Bacchus your risk profile. You'll be able to give him a budget. He'll have a wallet, and he will actually be able to, rebalance your portfolio for you, make trades for you, basically go in and say, hey, drink this now, sell this now, hold this, like, or hey, you need to be buying this right now, or you need to be like, wicked. That is a very powerful tool. Again, that part is in beta right now. So if you are very, very nice, as I said yesterday, I am taking bribes in Barolo. So if you would, or Chardonnay, if it's the right one. If you want to get into that beta testing group, just send us a DM and we will consider you. It's pretty fun to play with. So I think,
Super fun.
yeah, I think that's pretty much it for today. There is one thing that I want to plug in next Wednesday. I know I mentioned at the beginning of this episode. Next Wednesday, we are going to be joined by Jane Anson, who is the author of,
Whoa,
yeah. Did you not know? I mean,
how'd you manage that?
she's the best. Honestly, I'm so thrilled. Like I don't want to play that card too often, but like Jane's so cool. She's up for everything. She's a founding member of dVIN. We wrote to her last week and we're like, hey Jane, do you want to come on and talk about Entrepreneur? And she was like, I'd love to. She's the best. So Jane Anson, author of Inside Bordeaux and one of the world's top experts on the region of Bordeaux. We're going to be chatting about Bordeaux's left bank, first growth royalty, and what's happening right now with the 2024 Entrepreneur campaign. So that's going to be a really interesting one to join us for. We'll probably turn it into a podcast. But yeah, that's going to be great. Show up for that. And then one more little thing, Dave, you got an interesting email today from one of our investors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about
So I'm not gonna dox him, but like
it.
one of our investors who's been buying wine, as some of you know, we have Club dVIN, which is our little sandbox, and it's our oldest, dearest. A lot of times they're friends that started off with a bunch of winemakers and has grown to be a bunch of friends and interesting people, a bunch of people from Real Vision. And and as part of like that sandbox, over the course of the last 3 years, we've been doing these wine drops pretty regularly. Not so much in the last few months, but for years we would do every couple of weeks. We'd go to a winemaker friend and say, "Hey, can you give us 3 or 4 cases. We want to do a little pilot project with you, and like we tokenize some wine and put it on our platform. The only way you could participate in those sales was if you were a member, right? Everything's token gated, like it's all, you wouldn't even know that it exists if you aren't a member. And Rodolfo, who's been doing this for the last couple of years, is like kind of a genius with finding, not only finding great, like really interesting vintages and wines, but also negotiating really good deals for our members. And we got an email today from one of our members who put all of the wine that they've bought on the platform through Bacchus just to see what the current pricing was. And like get a bunch of like 5X's, a bunch of 3X returns. So that was pretty great. Bacchus providing good feedback.
Yeah. And you know what? I think the last thing that he wrote in the email was like, you guys need to be talking about this. And it's just so funny because I mean, he's right. We need to be talking about that. But it's just there's always, I feel like there's always so many exciting updates and things like that. And I as soon as we can plug Bacchus in to your digital seller, your portfolio, it's going to be like, aha, like there it all is. But it's kind of this like fun little secret, I think, at the moment for a lot of our members, who are sitting on these incredible wines. And of course, they're all, like we've talked about, the wines are in pristine condition. Most of them are stored at Bordeaux City Bond. So these aren't wines that people have sitting in front of them at home every day. It's like, it's pretty easy to forget that you've got this incredible collection that's just getting better and better over the last 4 years since we started those drops. And it's fun now to be able to plug that into Bacchus. So that's it for today. My glass is empty, and I gotta say, I think I did okay. I don't think I'm gonna get in too much trouble for that. Look at that.
Nice work. I'm the same way. Just a tiny little bit going
Yeah,
from
look
the
at that.
top.
You got
We've
salmon
been
still.
good, and we're so far over. We got to let people go. We have to let
No.
people go.
Hey, I am the hostess here, okay? So I will now say it's time to go. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks,
See ya.
Dave.
Bye bye. All right.